Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. We're live in the FHGT 2019 here at the Element Games Superstore, and I'm joined by Mr. Benjamin Sava. Hi, Benjamin.
Hello, hello.
Although it does say Darren Watson, I did do one thing wrong.
Yeah,
I smashed it this morning. Welcome to Sunday morning. And the reason I did that is because of the nerves. The nerves on day two, as we get into Sunday for a Warhammer event. Benjamin, you're normally around the top tables at this point. How do you start to feel going from Saturday night into a Sunday morning?
So I think with the way that Facehammer do it, they do the draw before, so you've had all night to think about it. You usually try and come up with a plan so convoluted that it's only a very small chance of coming off. So yeah, I think it's a weird one this Sunday morning because I think you have too much time to think, and so I guess everyone will be nervous. JP, who's playing James Tinsdale now on the stream, is very nervous. They played the exact same match at Blackout a few weeks ago, and but it's exciting. There's a lot of excitement in the hall. This is where it counts, isn't it? On the Sunday, this is where we find the winners and the wooden spooners. So.
Yeah, we were going to try and bring you a very exciting game between Archeon and Slaanesh, because I think that actually would have been very interesting,
really good
especially
game,
as Archeon is being played by one of my personal heroes, Mr. Mark Wildman, with his Khorne army. But unfortunately, Slaanesh didn't want to play on the stream, so we ended up we were lucky. This bracket for this round 4, has ended up being particularly powerful. Owen, our infield reporter, is going to give you that information in literally a minute. So I want to say thank you to all you guys. Join us for an exciting game of Idoneth versus Slaanesh. I actually say that Idoneth is actually the pocket pick to win most tournaments. It can deal with all the problems that's out there.
Yeah, I think it's a really strong anti-meta pick at the moment. There's more and more shooting coming back. It's a hard counter to Slaanesh. And that's the game that we've got on, so we'll get to see exactly how they do that. There's two really good players, both with Eels on the top 4 tables at the moment, so we could even see potentially an Idoneth
mirror match final. We're actually hoping,
really exciting,
we're kind of rooting for that realistically, so we'll see how that goes now. However, you join us for that game, at the start of that game in a moment. Let us know in the chat who you think is going to win. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to everyone on Patreon and Twitch. I just saw that the All Points TV subscribed, so thank you for that. However, our man in the field, Mr. Owen Jackson, is going to bring you all of the hot goss. He's an angel. I love him loads. Here he is, Owen.
Thank you very much, Rob. Cool. So I've had a little look around the hall. There are excitable people. There's lots of coffee being consumed. Some tired brains, but I'm sure that once they get those troops on the battlefield, then they'll focus their minds and they'll be able to put last night's successes out of their brains, me included. So looking around the hall, we've got 5 tables whereby we've got 5 tables, 10 players, all with 3-0 records, so all vying for that Facehammer GT title. I'm going to start on some of the lower tables, just with a few of the people that we've been chatting about through the course of the weekend, just so you can see how their weekends are going. So Steve Curtis, after taking a defeat against Mark Wildman, he's got a club clash. He's playing against one of his fellow Bucks Wargaming Collective guys, the guys behind Bloodshed in the Shires, where we'll be very soon. Those guys are clashing on table 19, so Skaven versus Feck. They're obviously going to know exactly what each other do in terms of the lists and the play style, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Laurie, there's a great fight here. Laurie with his Dreadwood, he's drawn Tuggy with his Archeon Khorne, so again, it's another one whereby Laurie's playing against somebody who's playing he says it's his list, but I actually think it's Mark's list, and Mark's doing better with it, so I don't know what happens there. But anyway, there was lots of smiles. Laurie was explaining about all his teleports, so that'll be fun. The Team Wales bros, I'm going to keep you updated on those. Alex Bruce with his mixed order, he's rolled into Stardrake, Stormcast Thomas Waller on table 12. Andy Hughes on table 9 with Michael facing Michael Browning. I think Michael's fresh from cutting down my hot pick for the day yesterday, Toby. Flesh Eater Courts versus Fire Slayers on table 9. And then looking forward, we've got the top 5 tables. So table 5. Dan Bradshaw, the current UK master, with his Skaven. He's facing up against the swan song list of the tournament, which is Order Draconis, Chris Tomlin's Order Draconis. Obviously, that with 3 cities on the way, that army isn't going to be viable soon. So, all the dragons and the princes, they're going to be looking to get into Dan's Skaven. Chris outdrops Dan, so he's going to get the choice of first turn. Table 4, we've got Brian Carmichael with his Slaanesh versus Mark Wildman with Khorne and Archaon. Again, in that one, Brian outdrops Mark, so he's going to get the choice of first turn. Perhaps on that, he may bait him into the centre and, go for the double with Slaanesh. But they're both better players than me, so I'm sure that they'll figure out what they want to do. Game 3, we're looking. Table 3 is actually on the stream. That's the club clash again, another club clash between JP and James. I don't think a little bit of hot goss there. JP's never beaten him, so if JP can beat James on the stream, then that'll be a first win for him. Table 2, fresh from being on our stream hero yesterday, Ian Spink in his Safari Hunter hat with his Bone Splitters. He's taking on Mr. 500 Luke Morton. Again, that was Byron's pick for the title, or for a dark horse pick. So, yep, that's table 2. On that one, Luke outdrops Ian 10 to 12, so Luke's going to have the choice of what he wants to do there. And then finally, we've got Mike Wilson with his Slaanesh versus Richie, again, who was on the stream yesterday with his Gits. In that one, again, the Slaanesh player naturally outdrops the Gits. So I'm not sure what he wants to do there, because those Gits are difficult to shift once they get on those objectives. So Mike's he looked quite pensive. He's got some decisions to make on that one. And that's kind of it. One thing I haven't really mentioned is that Honest Wargaming, we've been putting loads of fantastic pictures from the event on Instagram and some posts on Twitter as well. So if you want to have a look at some of the awesome hobby that's going on over the weekend, just pop over on to Instagram, and we've got some really nice little library of images on there. Yeah, so that's that kind of internet promotion thing done. I'm going to get back to what I enjoy, which is talking to some wargamers, and some more wargamers I really enjoy talking to are back in the booth. So if they're ready for me, it's time to go back to Rob and Benjamin. Cheers, guys.
Well done, Owen. Thank you. Can't wait to find out what happens in the rest of those games. Especially very excited to hear what happens between Richie and Luke Morton. That's a big game there. Some famous players. And the return, Luke's first Age of Sigmar tournament. His first ever one.
Yeah, I've heard he was one of the best players in all of the world at Warhammer Fantasy Battles, Mr. 500.
Yeah.
And he's proven it this weekend. It's really good personality, really good guy. I was chatting to him last night.
Yeah, Luke's a fantastic individual.
Yeah, just to see how he does it.
So welcome to the game. So this is what we're looking at. We're looking at the battle plan is focal points. Yeah.
There's the handshake.
So we've seen the handshake for the first turn. So Darren's going to update our table boss, Mr. Darren Watson, wonderful man, loves dancing. He is going to update who's Jim is going to take the first turn. So it's exactly as you see it. So just to quickly run you through the scenario, if that's all right with you, Benjamin.
Through the scenario?
Yeah.
We've got focal. So we're doing focal points.
Yeah.
Which has changed now in the newest iteration of the GHB, so that the opposites now count for 3 points and the centre counts for 2.
And if you join me for the coverage of focal points the last weekend at LGT, you'll have realised I had not cottoned on to the update, so called the game wrong for a couple of turns. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
That's it. And so the ones in your home deployment will be worth 1 point each, and if you can manage to capture the adjacent one in your opponent's field, that's 3 points. So, and then 2 for the middle. And they're starting. This should be starting 18 inches away, so it's a nice close deployment. JP's 4 drops. James was 5. So JP got to decide, and it looks like he's given the first turn to James.
Yep. So we know also that JP and Jim are actually clubmates.
They are.
From the Just Play Gaming Centre, and they played this game a couple of times out, and actually JP has never beaten Jim.
Nope.
Right, so I have talked about how much I think Idoneth. I've talked. If you listen to the shows on Neil's Wargamer on a Monday, you'll listen that I've talked about the Idoneth being a kind of counterpick to all of the top armies. We'll talk about these more in a bit, which is why we've really chosen these 2 armies to showcase, so you can kind of understand how that mechanic works. So it's going to be interesting to see. You got your money on one of these 2 armies. Slaanesh definitely the boogeyman of the Age of Sigmar community at the minute.
Yes, it definitely. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and so this is why it's an interesting game, because hopefully we'll get to see a masterclass in how to take Slaanesh down here from James. And he's played against Slaanesh a lot. He plays Slaanesh himself, and so he knows what he's doing. And so it'll be good to see that. It'll be good to see exactly how he does that. But I think I would like to see JP win this game, to be honest. He lost on table 1 in the exact same matchup, exact same scenario at Blackout. He's never beat James, so I do like an underdog, and so I think I'll be rooting for him in this game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting game as we move forward. And as Ben has pointed out, it is going to be about those objective points. And Jim making some early plays, so he's obviously decided to move onto this big objective, which he did use a command point to roll a 6 for.
Yes.
So he definitely wants to push this unit out as far as possible. The reason I'm going to try and say interesting less this stream, you guys. Also, I was want to say a big shout out to Speckles in the chat, saying 21 months of amazing coverage. Can't wait for the next 22 to come. That's right. So it's a weird numbering system there, Speckles, but I love you loads and loads. Also, a big shout out to Charles Black in the chat. I'm a big fan of you, and I hope you're well. So I think some people are rooting for. I want to know what everyone's rooting for. Who's everyone in the chat rooting for?
Yeah, let's see.
The reason
we've got red for soft hands and blue for JP.
We have definitely.
You can see soft hands there in the corner though.
Deploy it down. Here we go. It's happening, and we're doing it, and I can't wait. So. The reason it's an interesting build is because going into, as he's flipped the tides, that's going to be a great question. They normally flip the tides, is what he have flipped the tides. So I'm not saying that playing with the Idoneth Deepkin is formulaic, but it is.
It is.
It's this. This is how you play. You flip the tides. So going into turn 2. Then it's going to be always strikes first. So the setup for the double turn is less. It's not as scary because if any of these keepers not roll their 2+s, then potentially the eels can take them out. Also, they can charge. Even if the keepers charge in, they can still be electrocuted at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
Which means they can take a bunch of mortal wounds before they even do any damage.
Yeah, it's from 9 eels. It's an average of 9 mortal wounds, I think. So that would take a keeper down to 5, which would drastically reduce the amount of damage on his claws. So that does neuter them somewhat if they're going on the charge, and I think that's one of the strong points of this list in particular, especially when you flip the tides, is that you basically don't have to worry about that first roll off for deployment, because regardless of what happens, if you're in combat, you're fighting first. If they win, and if they win it, you're fighting first. If you win, you're fighting first. Obviously, Locust does interact with that. But it's a really powerful mechanic there, just not having to worry about the priority roll, which obviously we all know has a huge impact on the game, especially that first one.
Yeah, it's also really, really hard to. It's really, really hard to manage. We're in the shooting phase, by the way, everyone. It's really, really hard to manage the Idoneth Deepkin. Charles Black, thanks so much for the 100 bits. Go the anchovies. He's all about the fish people. So it's really hard to pin in the Idoneth Deepkin because, as you can see, they're absolutely set up in the next priority move turn. Next priority after the priority roll.
Yep.
In the next turn. Slow myself down. They're set up to move. Thank you so much. They're set up to jump over this screen, and even if they don't, when they do engage along this line, that was meant to be red. When they engage that line, what they can do is they can shock and then engage, let's say with this block here on the left, wipe it out, pile in 3, and then just wipe out some characters. It's always been a super challenging army to play against. I remember I had to play Les here from Facehammer against Eels when they just came out in AOS 1. That was a very tough matchup with my Seraphon. And you really have to castle up because they're just bullies, big eely bullies, unlike Les, who's an angel. Yeah. Okay, that's all right.
Shall I go through the lists?
Yeah, please go through the list, Ben. I appreciate that loads.
I will do. Okay, so we'll just go quickly through James's list. He's in the shooting phase now. He has just shot off, I think, 8 demonettes with some of the Namarti Thralls, the Namarti Reavers there, in the middle. So we'll go. JP has responded to that by spending one of his CP to stop them from running away. JP is he's got 2 starting CPs in his list. He's got an artifact what's the name of that? The Rod of Misrule, which on a 1 will give a CP to your opponent. On a D3 will keep 1 for yourself. So that would get 3 more for yourself. And so he also has Supreme Cyberites with 5 heroes in it, and so most turns he's going to be getting an extra CP, and so he doesn't mind spending those too early. Slaanesh is a very good. Okay, and speaking of his CP, we've just got some information from Darren saying that he's rolled a 6 on that Rod of Misrule to get an extra 3, so he's up to 4 CP now. So that's going to allow him to pile in with a lot of his characters, 5 CP even. So all of those keepers can be piling in twice to things. So can the chariot, even the units can. So. Yeah, he's going to be able to have a lot of freedom there with those now. The rest of his list, he's got the general, who is the keeper of secrets, with the skin taker trait and a thermal rider cloak, so that'll give him +4 movement and the ability to fly, which is a really, really top choice on the keeper of secrets, I think, because you don't want him you have to deploy him behind the demonettes, and you don't want him getting trapped behind there, and you don't want him getting screened out by units of chaff. And so it gives him extra movement and the ability to jump over chaff walls. The next one we've got is Shilexi Howlbane, the named character, who is a little bit wasted here because James doesn't have many big heroes for her to go off and assassinate. So it's still a keeper, still powerful, can still pile in twice, can still get work done, although the damage output is definitely somewhat less than the keeper itself. So JP has just cast Wheels of Excruciation, which is the endless spell. He's casting that into the Namati Reavers here, which has been failed to be unbound, and so that's what you're seeing him move now over those Namati Reavers. We'll see how many mortal wounds come out of that in just a second. Then we can see next we've got the other named character from Slaanesh, Silesk, and that has Hysterical Frenzy, which is the spell where you roll a dice for each model in the unit, and on a 6 you take D3 mortal wounds, which does generate depravity because it is a spell as well, so that's a really good one on big units. Unfortunately, again, James doesn't have any big units, and so he might not be generating too much there. But then the eels are a really good source of depravity because they're 4 wounds each, so if you can get the keepers into there, they could... The amount of wounds in a unit of eels will pay for a whole keeper itself. So we just see he's just taken off some models. That's 4 mortal wounds he's done from the Wheels of Excruciation. And then the last character in his Supreme Cyberites, the 5th one, is the Contorted Epitome with the Rod of Misrule. That's the artifact we just spoke about that he's rolled a 3 for. It's given him 3 extra DP. And he also has Hysterical Frenzy, which again is not incredibly useful here, but could be a good source of generating a few extra depravity here and there. And then he has 3 Battle Line, which is 20 Demonettes, 10 Demonettes, and 10 Demonettes. He has the Mesmerizing Mirror and Wheels of Excruciation in the list also. And yeah, that's it. Rob's back, here he is.
Appreciate that, thank you very much. We had some technical difficulties on the table there. The Slaanesh player unable to roll dice for spells, so I was just retraining him on rolling d6s. It's not too hard. It's not too hard. I definitely feel that JP's against it. He hasn't got, there's definitely a vibe, Benjamin, and you'll be able to tell me about this. Players have an aura of confidence early doors.
Yeah.
Or you project an aura of confidence. It's a lot like sport, right?
Yes.
And I'm just not picking up that vibe. Also, Lenny Winks, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that loads. Oh, we appreciate it.
We do.
We appreciate it. The whole Honest Wargamer crew.
Yeah. But yeah, it's right, and I think you often. The games are often won or lost in deployment, even before deployment. You do tend to see people. You look at the matchup, you look at the opponent, you look at the scenario, and if you see all of those things and think that you can't win, and you go into the game lacking that confidence, then that's often what will transpire. I think you always need to go in with a clean slate, with a positive. With a positive mindset, because otherwise you just won't be very confident in your plays. And I think we can see that actually from the deployment there with from JP's deployment. It does look a little cagey to me, like he's
very defensive.
Yeah, he's afraid.
You know, but then again, which is odd because he knew he was getting he was giving the turn.
Yeah.
So, you know, but you often tend to find, and this is true, that screen, I'll go back to the top down, so we can talk about what this screen will get put down first as a kind of initial gambit, and then what happens is you just put all your characters behind it. It happens a lot, especially with newer players, as opposed to like, I don't know, but it could be bait. Like let's not dog on JP here. Like it could just be a big bag of bait. Like, and he could have just intentionally postured defensively, because Slaanesh is fast as hell.
Yeah. Especially with the thermal rider on that keeper there, he'd be going 14 inches.
Yeah. Well, but it could be that, right? For the tale of the story, and we're in the movement phase for Slaanesh, Darren.
Yep. So you see just down here, he did cast the mirror as well.
Oh,
so
the mirror has gone off.
The mirror's gone down.
So I got to ask a question. I don't know why I don't see that mirror in every single Slaanesh list. Realistically, it's so good.
It's so good.
So good. That and Geminids. I'm confused always why I don't see them in every list.
Yeah.
Like, and I get it. You want a big keeper. They create depravity points. But for sheer output, that mirror just boggles the mind that it's skipped an FAQ or a nerf in any way.
Yeah.
But then again,
absolutely.
the warp lightning
especially
vortex
if you can
is still
spike
there.
it and roll a couple of sixes. It can get a lot of work done. I'd be looking to unbind that. I think sacrifice a spell. If I was James in my turn, sacrifice a spell to unbind that. It's one thing you just always want gone as quick as you can. Just because it plays with your movement as well. It forces your characters to go into places they might not want to. And you know, as we know, Age of Sigmar is a game that's mostly won or lost in the movement phase. So if your characters are moving out of position and that's pulling you around, you know, it's causing a lot more damage to your plan than it is just mortal wounds. You know.
Yeah, I personally don't know why it's not there, but we'll see going forward. So what moves are you going to make? What big plays? What are you going to go for, do you think?
So, I mean, this unit of eels here is the one that's looking juicy to me. Obviously, they don't have tides on them at the moment, so they can be fought without fear of them hitting you first. I think he has deployed, as you said, he's deployed a little bit too cagey with his keepers there in the background, in the back. I don't know whether he's got the space to get over to there, but I'd be wanting to hit them early. Before, you know, you're going to take if you get a big charge into them now with Demonettes, perhaps with the chariot, he's going to take the mortal wounds from the zaps. But I think it's a good thing to bait them out early. If you can bait them out with some of the Demonettes, and you know, you've got the depravity then to bring them back in later turns to hold the objectives.
I guess the issue here with the really obvious nines of eels, which is how this army plays. I go back and listen to my review of the Idoneth book, how they haven't dropped the turtles by 150 points, as well as the Eidolons, but those eels got a 10-point hike. It's interesting. It's a nice, competitively, it's a nice counter pick army. I love its existence.
So, yes, the
so it so you see this army is played this way for maybe almost a year and a half now since its release.
Yeah.
But you don't normally tend to see quite as many Reavers as you do here.
No, but I think that James's list, it has almost become the cookie cutter for Idoneth. I do think it's probably the strongest version that there is, because
the only version there is, right?
At the moment you do see. I think Luke is playing more eels. I think he's got the Achillean King, so eels are all battle line. You do tend to see more eel heavy lists than this. Perhaps a couple of units of 3, more MSU, maybe a couple of the defensive ones. But I think the strength of this list is that it's low drop. It gives you an extra artifact.
I mean, talking about the eel list really makes me think of Tau. When you talk to a Tau player and he's like, well, I've got 3 Riptides, but it's completely different to the other list. And you're like, oh, how's it different? It's like, well, these have got Shield Jones. And you talk to the other guy, he's like, I've got 3 Riptides, but I've also got Pathfinders. They play completely differently. And maybe there is a nuance when you play it enough, a bit like how we saw with Ian Spink and those ball boys. But I think there's realistically, to us as kind of the not in-depth players of these 2 particular armies, there sometimes there's nuances that are lost. However, a man who never loses any nuances, is all power and rage all the time, but is also class and sustenance to my soul, Mr. Owen Jackson, with what's happening in the rest of the FaceHammer GT 2019.
Thank you very much, Rob. I am indeed a nuance-free zone, but the tables are not. After yesterday, it was lots of cagey games. Steady. There were lots of cagey games going on, and that's given way to a Sunday morning of aggression. Very much Slaanesh aggression. Let's call it Slaaneshan. No, we won't do that. I wanted to give you a quick update because turn 1 has actually there's been some real surprises. It looks like on table 1, Mike Wilson versus Richie. Richie was not looking particularly happy. He thought that Mike had outmaneuvered him in the deployment phase, and Richie didn't deploy that defensively with his Gits. He was actually up, and Mike surprised him. He's taken the first turn, and Mike's pushed half of his army across the board to go and strike into that Gits force before they can get all their buffs up. So that's interesting. Table 2, Ian Spink with his Bone Splitters against Luke Morton with his Eels. Ian had the choice. He gave the turn away, and Luke's come in with the Soul Scryer and with, I think it was about 9 Eels, and he's targeted the Savage Big Boss. He's hit a flank. He got the zaps off, but he didn't take the Big Boss out because of the 4-up ward he's got against those mortals. Ian didn't look too flustered, but Luke had good board control, and Ian did seem very much pinned. Brian Carmichael, talking about Slaanesh aggression, or Slaaneshan as we're going to call it, that he, again, Mark, he had the choice. Mark has set his army up looking like it's being rated for the painting awards because it looked beautiful, altar in the centre, big flappies. It was wonderful. And yeah, Brian again has pushed all up. The Striders, I believe, is the Hell Striders. 3 units of those are pushed up with keepers behind. So Slaanesh turn 1 aggression is a thing. I don't think they want these horde armies such as Richie's Gits to sit on those objectives. Table 5, Chris Tomlin. He's gone big on turn 1 as well. Adam Kunis is going to be happy with this. The horn has been blown. The dragons are in. It's all looking good. So yeah, he's 4-0 down, but the dragons are in. That's the main story there. And then finally, somebody I didn't talk about in my first little bit of info, but how can we forget about Donald Taylor? He's drawn Tom Maudsley this morning, so that's a big clash. A couple of top players there on table 6. Tom Maudsley with his regenerating Legion of Grief against Donal, who is basically Gotrek and the dinosaurs. Yeah, Gotrek's middle, front and centre, ready to run forward and hopefully keep smashing stuff off that, keep killing ghosties off that centre objective. Yeah, and then they'll come back and then he'll kill them again and then etc, etc. I'm going to cross back now to the mainstream. I think the guys are still in their turn 1. And back to Rob in the booth. Cheers.
Thanks so much, Owen. Appreciate that loads. Excited to find out what Donald does with Gotrek over the course of the game. However, if you're back and you're looking at this game, we are in round 4 of the FaceHammer GT, one of the hotly contested competitive events here in the UK, obviously. But there are Age of Sigmar events all around the world, very exciting. I know a bunch of my Aussie brothers are in the chat, so I'm excited to cover CanCon again this year soon. But we're in battle round 1 of this Idoneth versus Heathen Knights of Slaanesh mirror match. Both these players have been on 3 wins already. There's a lovely granular 20-0 system here at the FaceHammer GT. and that means that both these players are in contention to win. However, JP with his Hedonite Slaanesh has never actually beaten Jim. They're club mates. They play a lot at the Just Play Game store, so they're both hype to potentially win at another superstore. Two superstores versus it's a superstore in a superstore.
It is.
It's like sometimes when you go to an Asda, which is a shop we have in the UK, there's a Costa inside. You're like, there's just brand development on top, all under the banner of the Honest Wargamer.
That's it.
So this is more
The real
like
superstore.
a Tim Hortons inside a Costa, inside an Asda. I don't know where I've taken us.
I don't know
However,
what you're talking about.
JP got to choose to go first. He gave the first turn to Jim with the Idoneth Deepkin. Actually, turns out that all of that overlay's wrong. I've just realised. So we'll just get that sorted. And then...
So what we've missed on the tabletop while Owen was talking is that the keeper has ran over here. This is the one with Thermal Rider Cloak, so he's got an extra 4-inch movement, and he is actually 3 inches away. He's balanced on top of the boat there. They've both agreed, obviously, he doesn't want his model to fall off and break, so he is 3 inches away there. So he just needs a 3-inch charge, or they just need a 3-inch charge to get into the eels there. He's pushed up with Celeste and the Demonettes over here. I would be concerned about charging Celeste. I think that the keeper can take the zaps and still dish out some damage, but Celeste potentially could get one shot. As we said, it was 9 average mortal wounds. Celeste only has 8, doesn't have a mortal wound save, and so could potentially get zapped off before she even does anything. So I'd probably just charge the Demonettes in there and try and bait out those zaps early. Hope that you kill enough fields over here with the keeper to replace them, so you've got some bodies on your home objective. He's very CP rich at the moment, so he's used a 6 for these Demonettes to run up here and get into the action. Obviously, all Demonettes can run and charge as well, so there's no downside to just spending a couple of those CPs early on to try and establish some board control. I think JP has probably moved a little bit too tightly in here. He could have used some of that space to spread out, to screen a little bit more, to protect this objective here. The eels, if they survive, could easily go around and take that in this phase. I mean, to be honest, it looks... I don't know. It looks like he's not even within 6 of that from here.
His own objective.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. The distances do look different on the top-down screen. I'm sure he would have measured that. He's a good player and he plays a lot.
I'm sure he would have intended to keep it. I just want to say a big shout out to all the hobby heroes in the chat there. There's a bunch of them. Heinrad, Speckles, Blaze Be Mad, Damahammer CG, Smorgan of the Dwellers Below. You should check out their podcast. So we're into the charge phase. The first Keeper of Secrets, that is not Shalaxi. That is the Keeper of Secrets with the Thermal Rider Cloak. So arguably his most mobile character. Rolled a 3, and then he's decided to change it up, and then he's rolled an 8, so he's ended up going right there.
See, that's worth a CP to me. I think if he goes right in the middle there, he's going to have the majority of those eels. The majority of those eels are going to be attacking him there, because it was here before. 3 inches would have got him in here. He's rolled an 8 and managed to come onto the end and tag them there, so he's going to get much less attacks back from those spears and mouths and tails and all the other attacks that the eels have. Obviously, I would imagine that he'll blow the zaps straight away before Keeper kills too many of them. And so he's looking to take probably 8 or 9 wounds, which will take his Claude's damage down from 5 to, I think, 3. But with the double piling, he still has the power to probably take out enough of those. James is sitting on 2 CP, is it there? Yeah, he's sitting on 2 CP, and so he's got 1 for each of those. As long as he's got the characters in range, he shouldn't be running off with from Battle Shock.
And this game is often, I find, like it depends. Like if you play Gits, it'd be so different if you went to watch Richie's game that's happening right now. They would just have this part of the board, and they would really be just controlling the center as often as they can as a path to victory. I think, as you stated really well earlier, it really is going to be about sneaking around, slithering like an eel. Yep. It's like 2 salmon. Have you ever tried to hold salmon in your strong, soft hands? Like, just let him slip up the field. And then, have you seen the salmon shoot that there's online?
I haven't seen that. No.
in order to restock salmon fisheries, there's literally it's like a giant tube that they just feed salmon in, and they just shoot miles. I would love to get the video. If anyone can find it and link it in the chat, that's exactly what playing Idoneth is like. I'm going to put that up later on Twitter. But anyway, I've just realised he's just salmon shot them up here. Also, a big shout out to Crazy Horse in the chat. So all the charges. There's another.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what I would be doing if I was JP. You want to hit Idoneth hard before you go into the high tides, which is obviously happening in turn 2 here. I think he could have moved a little bit more clinically. He could have taken up a little bit more space, done a bit more screening. But I think he does seem really worried. Just chatting with Darren while I was talking, I think JP is a bit flustered. James has got inside his head. And
however,
I think he just wants to hit him hard and try and cause enough damage, because obviously Idoneth don't have any regen, they don't have any way of bringing things back, so they're not very good at the attrition game. And if,
they can bring the Reavers back. No, they can't bring the Reavers back. That brings the Thralls back.
Yeah, the Soul Render Cannon and Marty Corpse can bring back a few extra there, so potentially he could bring those back. But I think obviously the Eels are the people who are doing all of the work in this list, really.
Thank you to everyone in the chat showing the link to the salmon cannon, so we can all share in the new Age of Sigmar meme. Anytime you see Eels, get ready for the salmon cannon.
Salmon cannon.
However, in the charge phase, we saw a giant charge here from Silesky, right there, Silesk. And Shalaxi just failed a charge and is declared it's not worth a CP to re-roll it. So again, another character in there. Selesky not too bad in a fight, although I have seen it lose a fight to an Arc Regent before in close combat on the stream. Yeah. So wants to be a little bit careful. But the big units, the big bully units there, locked up. Absolutely. And do we think those are good plays?
Yes, I think so, because the downside of flipping the tide is that you don't have run and charge or retreat and charge in turn 2. You've sacrificed that to fight first. And so if you can't kill everything that they're in combat with, then they're going to be stuck there. The Demonettes have got into the Reavers, who are probably going to die here in the centre. And so these are the 2 units that are going to have his movement. And so his only option then will be to retreating to get the objectives. So we just heard from the tabletop that he is using both zaps.
What happened was both characters here that roll their 2+s for the loci, they've both gone off on the Eels. So both Eels units are striking last. This has caused Jim. This has caused Jim to use his zap on the Keeper's Secrets here. But he's rolled badly, is that right, Ben?
Yes, yeah. It sounds like he has only rolled 3 mortal wounds. And as we said, the average is 9. So he's only done 3. So he's 6 below average. Rolled loads of 1s and 2s, which is really good for JP. I think that will only take his claw damage down to 4, or potentially even stay on 5. I don't know whether he needs to take 4 wounds. But on the other side, he's rolled 3 6s, which means 3d3. So we could see Celeste taken out to DP as I predicted earlier. Yeah, I think that was a risky move putting Celestian, I think.
Yeah, so
7 mortal wounds.
So only 3 going into the Keeper is absolutely huge. 7 more wounds really going into Celestia almost killed it, but it doesn't have a profile. Like a lot of the other characters. It doesn't
downgrade, yeah. It's not a monster that has a damage table, and so it will be striking at its full power.
But also what JP's got to be over the moon about is those 2, arguably the defensive builds here, and 2 of the most important roles, kind of singular instances of action that can happen in this game have now happened. That's those 2 units of Eels. They've got a once per battle ability to electrocute something around them. It's kind of their defense, and honestly, when they first came out, it was a nightmare, because it was an almost always strikes first before always strikes first.
Yes.
And like you said, the average is 9 mortal wounds. There's not loads of things that can go into a unit of 9 Eels and walk away without, especially a monster, without its profile unscathed.
Yeah.
I imagine a unit of Witches, though, do fine.
Do
fine. They just do okay.
They're not bad. If he does 9 mortal wounds, only 2 of them are dying anyway, so 3 of them. So he's opted to fight with the Demonettes in the centre here first. Obviously, the 2 Eels are Locust, and so he's had 3 exploding 6s. He's killed all of the Thralls in the middle there. So not only has he taken out one of his
Daz.
scoring units. He has claimed that middle objective, which is going to score him the 2 points that he needs to match JP's 4. I don't think he's going to kill enough here to down here to take that objective this turn.
But I agree. I don't think. I think you're absolutely right. By the way, the next pile in. Oh, okay. The next pile in is going to be there. The next pile in is going to be the phone. Can you just try and sort the phone out? Yeah, you can't hear you. Yes, the next pile in is going to be this unit of Reavers there into the character. Sorry, the Keeper of Secrets, not a character. It's a terrifying demon sent from the realm of chaos to murder and whomp anything and everything before them. And eels seem perfect. Also, Slaanesh mad as hell that the souls of those, if you know the narrative, the souls of all of the Idoneth Deepkin were drawn away from Slaanesh over the course of in Tyrion's first failed experiment in withdrawing the souls out from Slaanesh as he was trapped between the realm of shadow and light. So these Slaaneshi demons seeking those souls back that they much prefer and would like to have. There we go. And also Kolja Sinso, thank you for subscribing for 5 months in a row. Gotrek isn't on the top tables, but Gotrek has won currently the best performing Gotrek list has won 2 out of 3 games, so not too bad. So still an opportunity for Gotrek to go 4-1. However, he was just taking names yesterday from everything I heard. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Donal posted up his kill list with Gotrek last night, didn't he, onto Twitter? And it's I think in his third game he basically tabled a whole Stormcast army on his own. I think the Stormcast player had a tunnel vision a little bit and was just single-mindedly obsessed with just killing Gotrek, and he kept throwing units of Sequitors in time and time again who would just bounce in and getting killed themselves in return. And so I think that seems to be a little bit of the attitude all round for people who are playing Gotrek. I think they really want to kill them. I don't know whether that's because I think it's Ian from Just Play put out that he'd give away some vouchers to the person who kills him the most times in the next year. People are trying to get in early, trying to get some kills of him. But yeah.
So the current activation, I've got that wrong in the picture there, I apologise, is actually down here at the bottom. On the left-hand side, it's Selesky charging into that unit of eels.
And we've heard from the table he's rolled 2 6s on the axe, which obviously doubles his attacks there, and the axe is the one that's going to be doing all the damage.
So Jim is sat on. We need to check. I think Jim is absolutely set on 2 CP. So we'll just double check that information. And then we'll make sure, and I'm sure there are some characters nearby those 2 units of eels, because the easiest way to deal with them is Battle Shock.
Yes, they're only Battle Shock 6 on their profile, so they can start losing models even after they lose 1 on a 6, then another one could run. And yeah, he's tagged them nicely on the ends of both units here, so he's not going to be taking too much damage back. Hopefully, after the Demonettes have piled in, Selesky's piled in, and then the Keeper twice over there, we'll see.
I think we're going to see a real reduction in what those in what those eel units can do, and also they need run and charge, right? They need to charge to do the real damage.
Yes, exactly.
And next turn they're getting always strikes first, basically, army wide. So I don't think they inherently have run and charge, unless I'm mistaken. So
actually they get it from the tides, I think, in turn 1 if you don't flip them.
So I think what Jim will be looking to do here is he's actually taken his wounds away from this side, but surely it would be good to take them away from this side, take those 3 away, then those 4 can charge and do all the extra damage.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe I don't know
He's
something.
Not going to get many into combat. So this is it. It's like even if he is striking first in the next round and JP loses the tide, then he's going to be in combat, yes, but he's probably only going to be in combat with 2 or 3, and he won't have charged, so he won't be getting that -2 rend on the charge. So I think JP's in a good position. He's played a good turn here. He's gone all out, but I think that was his best option. I think in this.
Yeah, I
in
think
this
looking
scenario.
at that keeper's sequence there, I don't. He's going to attack again. He's only currently done for 1 eel, which is actually 6 wounds have gone on the eel so far. But yeah, still only one has died.
Eel and a half, yeah.
Yeah, so that isn't really as impressive as we would like. Although the keeper's got to be super happy about the 3 wound trade.
Yeah.
Because going into the next turn with the locust in effect. Because the way it works, it's about priority. So even though there's army-wide for the Idoneth Deepkin that they get to strike first, because the locus of it's not the locus of fecundity, that's Nurgle. The locus of diversion makes it so that the unit always strikes last, effectively, or strikes at the last bit of the battle round. That rule happens after the allegiance ability, and so is the most recent effect, and therefore will be in play.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Despite the fact that they both have mechanics that will that play with the order of activation, the priority roll will still be really big.
And if you guys would like to look at the lists, if you guys are just checking out, if you click that BIP button, BIP, because our man Scrivo's not here, it's just me doing all the admin work behind the scenes, and I'm not good at that, as I'm sure most of you are aware. Click that BIP button, and it has all the lists inside there, so you can watch it. You can read the list as you're watching the stream, which is kind of cool. But then you miss out on the chat, and I love the chat. The chat's the best bit. So
yes, yeah, that's it.
So we're just which phase are we in now? We're still in the
Looks
combat.
Like we're still seeing the keeper do his. Wow! So this keeper with double pylons down here looks like he hasn't killed.
So this whole combat's been a whiff. It's been I mean, he's near the boat realistically, so he's got extra save. He's also got a 6-up DPR, so a little bit more of a save there realistically.
Yeah. Oh, interestingly, JP's actually attacked the thralls there, I think, with his claw attacks. One of those has gone through and killed 4 of them. And maybe he's just looking to reduce his bodies. There's 5 objectives. There is 5 objectives on the board, and to claim objectives, you do need bodies. And so maybe if you can keep those eels locked down there, keeper can take off a few more. Even between the damage it takes itself and the damage it can put out, it can probably just bring back a new keeper anyway, and so it's not a huge loss to lose that keeper at the cost of a unit of thralls and a couple of eels, because he'll get the depravity to bring it back. So
the guys on the table just having a talk about piling. As we know, basic rules. All right, fantastic. So apparently, So what's cool is it's always nice having our referee there, table boss Darren Watson of English ETC fame, arguably one of the best wargamers in the world.
Yeah.
To oversee your game and let you know exactly how piling in works. Pretty easy. It's 3 inches towards the closest model.
Towards the closest model. Yeah. I can't see what's the dispute here.
But there's none. Let's just they're just talking it through, which is nice.
So yeah, I think they're looking around at the moment for a TO.
So let's see one. Catch us up. So it's okay. So it's just Jim there with his Idoneth Deepkin. Hasn't been playing Age of Sigmar for a very long time. He's only been playing for about a year, so just getting some clarity.
Still green, isn't he?
Yeah, so just picking up some clarity there from Darren on exactly how to move his units, which is nice because you've got him as a playtester, not Darren, obviously, Jim, and also Russ. Darren was right. Russ and everyone else in the environment, just feeding back exactly how to play the game, which is nice.
It's a good place to learn the game on Top Table Game 4.
Listen, this is too easy to make an issue, so let's all talk about Warhammer instead and how much I love the narrative of eels. Yeah.
Soft hands.
Shadowhammer, would you stream ETC or other team events? We are actually going to stream a ton of team events next year. Everyone should get excited about the Honest Wargamer doing that. I hope you guys are excited about what we're doing currently, but I'm looking forward to doing team stream events earlier. We obviously tried some of it at the Six Nations event, me and Speckles, that was great. Big shout out to the Six Nations team organ. Oh my God.
Tournament organisers.
But we definitely, before we do anything, we're doing the Six Nations event next year. But I would love to cover team events.
Yes.
Would love to.
I think the consensus seems to be among a lot of the players, regular tournament attendees, that team tournaments really are the future of AOS, I think.
Ragnar said at Runax next year. I'd love to be at Runax. Runax is great. We should go to Runax. That would be gangster.
What's Runax?
Yeah, it's an Australian team event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those guys are amazing as well.
Oh, that'd be great, wouldn't it? A nice wargamer team over there.
Yeah, they're just the best. It's a great environment.
Yeah, I'd love
to
to go and play in Australia.
Right, back to the game. If you just joined us.
Okay, sorry.
So we've all learned how to pile in. Great for all of us. It's always nice to get a reminder. And then, as you can see on the screen there, that gorgeous Keeper of Secrets, by the way, JP.
Yeah, look at that, freehand.
That's lovely. Ben, a little bit of quick painting. Benjamin, sorry. A little bit of quick painting appraisal. Should we do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. How do we feel about this?
Look at that. Yeah, I think freehand is one of those things I think that a lot of people won't try because they're really afraid of it. But it's a lot easier than what it looks like, I think.
What about this guy? This Dwarden, this stone Dwarden on the mast, just eyeing up that Keeper of Secrets. But big news about that Keeper of Secrets. From that combat, it's only got one wound left, so he really hasn't done the work.
Wow, so he's rolled really well with those eels then, because he hasn't got that many in there, and so either he's rolled really well or JP has fluffed a lot of his saves. I think at the end of that phase though, JP is on 32 depravity now, so that's that Keeper back already. So. Yeah, turn one. He's already paid for. He's already bought himself a new keeper.
And there's a really healthy conversation between all of us in the wargaming community about just how good Slaanesh is at the minute. There's currently 2 Slaanesh armies, this one and another, that potentially can win the tournament. So we'll keep our eyes on that. At the LGT, when we did the coverage last week, we actually didn't see a lot of Slaanesh in attendance, which was weird. Leading to the conversation last night, which I was a bit privy to, between both Benjamin and Darren about the north-south meta divide. And the North being a lot more comfortable with net listing. Is this because you think they can't read, Benjamin? That's what you said last night. Do you want to double down on that right now, or is that not how you feel?
No, I don't think we said net listing in particular, but there definitely seems to be a little bit more of a little bit more leaning towards more brutal lists down here. I think unapologetically taking some of the more ruthless sort of lists, I think, at Facehammer compared to LGT last week. Well, a much higher percentage of Slaanesh here.
10% of the field here is Slaanesh.
Whereas we didn't even see one in the tournament in the top 10 at LGT last week. Sorry, and so maybe that's something to do with South. We've got more delicate sensibilities. Don't want to upset people as much. Whereas, what's up?
So, Selesky. No, I'd like to carry on with that point. It's fun. But in combat, this unit of eels now are finally piled in. The last unit to pile in the combat phase. They've killed Selesky here. So, again, more depravity points as pointed out. Still locked in combat. Yeah, I know that. I've read the rules. I'm not playing on the telly. And I talk on the telly. This unit of thralls, though, have still got the eels locked in, so that's still a great play from JP. So both units of eels, even going into the priority, are not free to go in to charge. So actually, if I won the priority from JP, I'd probably give it away, move that mirror right in here and do a bunch more wounds.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a strong play. He's got, if he needs to summon, he's still got this chariot here at the back of the board and the contorted epitome right at the back as well, safe as houses.
So I think the problem with doing that, though, is that the keeper is only on 1 wound, and so if he could arcane bolt or do any damage in the hero phase to the keeper there, that frees up that whole unit of eels then, who could probably come and clear both these units of demonettes and take that objective.
That's a good point. I had not thought about that. So is the keeper down to 1 wound?
It's down to just a single wound, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, well then ignore me. That's probably a bad play at that point. Good shout. That's why you're here. Because while I talk on the telly, you and Darren are better, so that's fine. So the thralls in the middle have been kept alive with a command point.
Down here, I think.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So yeah, in this point, rolling the battle shot. That keeper secret's got to be gutted not to have done more to those eels.
Yeah, on a double pile-in, I think.
So all the eels have passed the battle shot test, which means we're going to be coming to the priority roll. Let us know who you want to win. JP is currently red and Jim is blue. So it's let's know like who you're rooting for and who you want to win the dice roll. Yeah, Jim is blue and JP is red. JP is red. Yeah, we're ready and excited. Here we go. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's pretty tense. Oh, it's gone to Jim. He's won the priority roll 6-1. Conclusive.
I think speaking to JP at the beginning of the game, he obviously, as we said, he played this. We played this game. They played this game out on table 1, game 5 of Blackout, and JP asked me for advice on how to win, and I said to him, "You've played it, so you obviously played the game. You must have learned something from it. How to beat him now." And he's like, "I just need to win turn 2 priority." I think so that's what he was hoping for.
Okay.
So he hasn't done it here.
So he definitely rated his ability to, and he would have played for that, right, going forward.
It looks like he has, yeah, definitely. And so, I think we're going to see Jim take the turn here, I'd imagine. Although his knuckles are down on the table, that's normally a sign of assessing what's going on and whether he can give it away.
I love that body. Look at that. Listen to how Ben talks. He's like not only assessing the battlefield, he's assessing the player. Yeah, like there he has with his. He's just got his knuckles down, ready to rock. Like, and he's contemplative. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, he hasn't made a decision.
He hasn't made a decision, which means he's not sure. Which, if I was JP, would put me in a. It would be confident. He's given the turn away.
Giving it away. Interesting.
I don't know if is that a good call. Can another keeper come on the board?
I mean, there is those 2 spells there. Perhaps that's what he's gone straight to those wheels of excruciation.
Yeah, he's thought it through.
Yeah, I think maybe it's one of those 2 that has forced his hand a little bit there. He could put these wheels straight back through those demonettes, kill off a couple of those. He could send the mirror away in a different direction. So
I'm a little flabbergasted. I won't lie, Ben. Jimin.
Yeah.
No, don't swear. Benjamin, I'm a little bit flabbergasted because I honestly think
it's interesting, because he's already got 32 depravity.
So the keeper's died. So the keeper has died from the wheels. So he's dealt with it via the endless spell. Okay. So he's got rid of it. But then there's going to be another keeper come on the board, I reckon.
Yeah, he's already got the depravity for it. Although I think at this stage.
Oh, okay. So JP actually had got some heals from killing some units.
Sinistrous hand.
From the sinistrous hand. Why are you not taking anything than the sinistrous hand as well? Like, just no clue. However, that has caused then the wheels. They moved that, so that endless spell, which is pretty devastating. Doing that, have caused the keeper to die. So a big swing, but the keeper didn't do much anyway. He's still got Shalaxi to come in here. So it's going to be about consolidation and prepping to potentially be double turned, which I think is going to be key. Yeah.
I think if I was
would you
JP
just double down into this? Just take it off the board?
Yeah, and I'd probably bring on demonettes rather than a second keeper here.
Some demonettes in there, maybe?
Yeah, because you need bodies, and you need bodies to defend these both these home objectives now. These eels are free already. I don't know whether he's got anything here, unless he just does a charge with these demonettes down here, just puts one in combat, strings the rest out back here.
Yeah,
just to try
and this unit as well.
Or potentially on both sides.
Same thing.
So them in. So
again, piling in here, you can learn some cool things about how that works, and you can just pin them on both sides.
Yeah, I think that's the play here. I don't know whether those eels have got enough damage to kill both demonettes. Not on the charge, obviously. They've already used their zap, so you want to pin them in place. You don't want them jumping over and coming down here. And taking that home objective, scoring 3 points.
Agreed. I'm excited to see what does happen. There's obviously going to be a hero phase before that. However, while we're talking about hero phases, there's a hero who's in his ascendant phase, Mr. Owen Jackson. He's going to tell us what's happening in the rest. His star is rising. What's happening in the rest of the tournament? Here he is, the gorgeous man. Also, thank the Templar.
Rob slaying it with the transmissions again then. Amazing. Transitions, transmissions, you know what I mean. So, yeah, I've had a little look around the table. I figured that just so you can keep abreast of what's going on all the tables, maybe just like most people like to have me, little and often. That's how I'm going to be. So, table 6, Donald Taylor, Gotrek. I'm going to call him the ultimate Ghostbuster because he is at the head of the army and he's got all of Tom Maudsley's Grief Army bearing down on him. It's going to come back, but that looks really interesting because, yeah, what a hero. It's Gotrek surrounded by a load of dinosaurs at the front of a spearhead with probably, yeah, I would say 80 to 90% of Tom's army 3 inches away, ready to just boost in and see if they can take down that ginger hero. Table 5, Dan, there's been a lot of whooping and hollering over there. It's quite an animated table. Chris played for the double. I think the dragons are going down, though. I think Dan Bradshaw Skaven might be getting that because Chris went all in on the double. He went in, he cleared the screens. The dragons were primed and ready to take off some of the Storm Fiends and the key pieces. And, yeah, he gambled, and the gamble didn't pay off. He didn't get the double, and it looks now that all that shooting is going to be going into those dragons. Table 4, Brian Carmichael with his Slaanesh and Mark Wildman. Mark is pinned in now. Now, I thought that was going to be quite progressive because Brian had moved up quite a lot of his Seekers, but I have to say, it's gone back to cagey Slaanesh, not Slaaneshan. It's we've got 3 keepers along the back of the board. They're not committing. I don't think Mark's had much of a turn to be able to push on. So I think there's going to be a fight breaking out there soon, but it's going to be a mid-game fight. Ian Spink, it's very narrative gaming over there because he's very much fighting the tide. There are eels coming in. Luke's not committed everything, but he's got good board control there. So I can't call that one yet. One that perhaps could be called even as early as now is Mike Wilson's Slaanesh against Richie McCally's Gits. Now, as I mentioned in my last little piece, Richie was a bit surprised that Mike took the turn, and Mike has gone in big. That bold move has paid off. I've written in my notes, it's the definition of pinned. Lots of the grots have gone. They didn't have their buffs up. They've only got the netters, and there's a keeper up there, probably 40 to 50 Slaanesh models that Mike's pushed on, and then he's got support heroes behind. He's got demonettes capping. I think Mike could be going 4-0 here. It looks really positive for him. Looking down through, obviously they're not contenders, but we're keeping an eye on them. Andy Hughes against Michael Browning. Now that was interesting. Michael's done it twice now. He's done the cardinal sin. He's charged the block of Hearthguard Berserkers twice. And he's just done 66 attacks with his ghouls, and he put 1 wound through. The Hearthguard's on a 3-up, 4-up. I mean, that's an immovable block. And unfortunately, those ghouls aren't an irresistible force. So, yeah, 1 wound from 66 attacks. I mean, what's the point in even rolling the dice? But that's quite square. Alex Bruce and Thomas Waller. I'm going to give you one quick thing. Thomas Waller's Star-Fated Arrow killed the Frostheart Phoenix. They're on turn 3 already, and they're just taking chunks out of each other. Most of the Phoenix Guard are gone. Most of the Liberators are gone. There's not much left, just a big dragon and a load of silver dudes. Tuggy and Laurie, Archeon smashed a load of swords. And, yeah, I think that there's some... Probably what's going on the stream is more interesting than what I'm rambling on about. So I'm going to pass you back to the boys in the booth. It's going to be Roblin and Benjamin. They're coming back to you now. Cheers, guys.
Thanks so much, Owen. Appreciate that loads. We're going to get an update from what's happened from Darren via the table. But if you've just joined us, thank you. Welcome back. It's me and Mr. Benjamin Sava, hashtag so hot right now, live in the studio at the FHGT 2019 here at the Element against Superstore. Lovely place to play Warhammer, by the way. Never been here before. We've got Heat Knights Slaanesh versus Idoneth Deepkin. 2 clubmates, JP versus Jim. JP got to choose who went first, gave Jim the first turn. Jim then moved aggressively up with 2 units and 9 eels, put a unit of Thralls on the centre. He obviously then moved up his units of Reavers from his Reaver Corps here in the middle. Then boxed in at the back was JP's Heat Knights Slaanesh army. He then took a unit of 10 Slaaneshi Demonettes. They moved over here into the Eels, as did Selesky with a big 10-inch charge, is now dead. A Keeper of Secrets walked forward as well, made an 8-inch charge into here, only took 3 wounds from the electric sharks. However, then only killed 1 eel in a woeful display.
Yeah, with a double pile-in as well.
With a double pile-in, so some woeful behaviour there. And then in return, went down to 1 wound. And then in the priority roll, which was won by Jim, he gave the turn to JP. Then this unit of cogs moved, wiped out this Keeper of Secrets. And now we are where we are. And it looks like
movement phase for JP now.
Yeah. What happened in his hero phase?
In the hero phase, he rolled a 1 on his Rod of Misrule, which gave James 1 command point. So James has gone up to back up to 2, despite having spent 1 in his own phase, and then he gained 3 himself though from the Cyberites. So he's sitting on 6 CP again. He'd already cast all of his endless spells. I don't think he was in. I don't think he had anything in range because obviously a lot of Slaanesh's spells are short range. Shalaxi was too far away. The Keeper had died. He'd already cast his endless spells, so I don't think there was much other action in the hero phase. So we've as we see, we're into movement now. He's just used a CP to run that epitome in the top of the board there. Which
contorted epitome.
Contorted epitome.
Have you built that? Have you built that and painted it? And it's on your Twitter, and it's disgustingly pretty. Never mind, ignore me. I built it, and I couldn't even make it stick together. The difference between Hobby and me and Benjamin Sava, everybody.
It took me a long time. I won't say that was an easy one.
It was not an easy one to build.
It was not easy at all. No,
you're going to see it in every list. It's arguably the best model for its points in Age of Sigmar currently.
I think so.
200 points, 2+ save against mortal wounds, rerolls hits, rerolls casts, rerolls unbinds. Got 2 casts.
Dispels as well.
Rerolls dispels as well. It's got 2 casts. It's got 7 wounds. It's a monster in combat.
Yep.
It's
9 attacks.
It's a character.
It has an inherent locus on him. So it's on a 4 up at the beginning of the combat phase. It stops people from. It forces people to fight last as well. Which
it actually combines with which, if you fail the 2+ on an Exotic Keeper of Secrets, you can then fall back on the 4+.
Yep.
It's arguably the best points model in Age of Sigmar.
Allyable as well, so you can put him into Nurgle lists. We can put him into any Chaos lists with Slaanesh, and you can get for armies like Nurgle that don't have any way of competing in the activation wars. You can ally in a contorted epitome.
Yeah, I think, I think it's a really solid point. And if you do ally in, you should also ally in the mirror, the mesmerizing mirror.
Yes.
You don't have to ally in; it's now just something you can cast. And let me tell you, a Chaos Army with the mirror, epitome, and Geminids in. Just start there. Just put your allies as that, and then build the rest of your list. Work backwards, everyone. Work backwards from the best.
Start with those 300 points, and then you've got 1,700 to play with.
So thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you're enjoying it. If you are watching, I love it when it makes me smile loads. If you guys have got like a big TV setup, or you're watching at the pub with your mates, or you sat by the beach, kind of forlornly looking into the sunset, if you could take a picture of you watching some T-Sports live on the telly and put it on our Twitter, The Honest Wargamer.
Yeah, let's see where the Australians are watching it, because it's going to be late night Saturday there, so they're probably staying up with some drinks,
just having a good time.
Hanging around on the sesh. Let's see. So, interestingly, I think he has not decided to charge Celeste into the Eels. I was watching that a minute ago. I think that's a really interesting play. He's going to send them down here. There's 2 units there of Namati that he could potentially take out, and I don't know whether he could kill enough to claim the objective. Celeste is not as hitty as the regular keeper, but if you just put some pressure on that home objective there, then that's less that can come round and claim.
But like everyone in the chat is saying, these Eels are absolutely going to be able to just withdraw from combat and go and score here and here. So they're going to have to do that. But that still leaves JP, I think, with the centre and threatening the back here. But that's a 2 objective trade for the 1 at the bottom. But we haven't seen the summoning yet. And there we have seen a new Keeper of... Is that a new Keeper of Secrets?
Yeah, I would be very surprised. I think why he's used... why he's used the run roll on the epitome to get him there, I'd imagine, is so that he can summon. It's wholly within 9, so you've probably got access to get demonettes in there to get both of those objectives. And then if he tags these in combat and they retreat to there, then they're not going to be able to hit those demonettes in combat this turn. So then it gives JP the chance of winning the priority, and then that's a big gamble. If he can keep both these units in combat and as you say, James retreats out, that's a huge gamble because we're going into the priority role and in turn 3, obviously James won't have high tide, and if JP wins that, then he could just whatever he summons here and whatever he has left here can just go back into the keepers to.
So as you can see
up.
there, the guy's using 2 units, 3 little 3-inch measuring sticks. In future, we're almost going to make coverage on this wargame mandatory to use sticks. I feel that tape measures have had their day. Things like 24-inch moves and stuff, obviously, but the sticks are just super, and you can just lay them on the a flat battle mat that looks great. Thank you for the battle mats here at Element Games, and then some sticks, and you got yourself some solid technical Warhammer, which I'm a big fan of. So let's go. Yeah, big fan.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. So it's
There you go, Speckles. You got Speckles giving you some praise there in the chat.
That's it. Not the master, not yet. No, I decided to take Nighthaunt instead.
Sorry, Darren. So the Demonettes over here looking to charge into the Eels and pin them in, which is a big deal.
It's a really
Failing
big deal.
the charge
Yeah.
on a double 1.
And obviously has no characters over that side of the board.
However, the Demonettes here in the centre have rolled a 10.
10, which is good, but he is doing exactly what you would hope there, and just pinning them. He's trying to reduce the amount of incoming damage. He just wants one of those to survive in combat, and that's all he needs. It does. If one of these Demonettes can survive, that failed charge is not as big.
However, that failed charge is an issue currently.
Yeah.
And it's something he's going to have to think through.
It's whether those Eels have got enough damage to take out those Demonettes there in the centre. He really wants to keep them in combat. If he doesn't, he's going to be in a bad position on this flank, I think.
Yeah. And then also the other charge is there's another 9-inch charge from this keeper here, or this keeper who's been summoned. We've just found out from the tabletop. Needs a 9. Doesn't even care, has rolled an 11.
Wow.
So that's huge. Again, so he can either decide to come around into the Eels, which I think is a play, or he can go. He can go into the Nomati. I'm interested in what he's going to choose, and he also measured straight away. Definitely wants to get to these 2 characters at the back of the board. So that was a quick measure. I reckon the Eels is the right choice. What do you think? Or am I wrong?
With the keeper here, or Shalaxi?
It's nice having someone I feel super comfortable asking. I'm like, what do you think? Go on, tell me.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, it was a Shalaxi who rolled an 11.
Oh, okay.
Our table boss Darren Watson, too excited. He actually said he thinks all demons look the same. That's rude, but something we're gonna have to deal with.
I think with Shalaxi you want to be going pressure in these Nomati. I think you've got the chariot on the right. You've still got a couple of Demonettes in combat with those Eels. You've got the chariot on the right there. I think you want to start clearing off some of his bodies now. James is potentially on for a double turn, so he wants.
So he's just moved his model there. And what he wants to do is, I think he wants to be out of 3 in the first activation because Thralls can kick it. Thralls can do damage.
Yeah, especially they'll go to 2 damage a piece, won't they? After the because the wounds characteristic of their
it's greater. Yeah. So it's just going to be a thing. So one of those units potentially getting Locust, although it is, as Slaanesh players keep reminding me, not a guarantee. It's only 5 out of 6 times it's going to happen.
Yep.
So that could swing the game again. Nice big pivotal role. I think I'd prefer it being a 3-up. I think it would feel a little less disingenuous, like if it was a 3-up.
Yeah, I think a 3-up seems more reasonable. Even a 4-up. Most of the other activation wars abilities in the game happen on a 4-up. And I think such a powerful effect that.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't actually had the roll yet, I don't think,
from the keeper.
For the
doesn't
keeper.
Look like it. No, it's taken a long time to decide whether to pile in with.
So now he's just working out what his process is. And as our table boss has pointed out quite accurately, what he's going to want is he wants to be within range.
Wholly within 12 here to pile in twice with Shalaxi, which I think is what he's measuring here.
But what he also wants to do, I think, in this instance, is he should have piled in. He should have tried to charge that keeper first, see what he's done with it, and then decide what to do with the keeper. However, there is the chariot piling in, and I don't think the chariot's going to be within range to get that command ability.
No, it doesn't look like it, no, from that tabletop. No, it's got to be wholly within 12 for that. Unless the keeper rolls a big charge now and comes in here, then he's wholly within 12 of both of those. He's got 6 CP to spend, so that could be all 3 of those characters could be piling in twice. So this is going to be a huge charge roll for JP. He really wants to be making that, I think.
Is everyone in the chat rooting? What's everyone thinking? You're rooting for that Keeper of Secrets to just fly in there, although... the Keeper of Secrets has rolled a 6 to charge, so has let us down. I'm sure it's going to be a re-roll. He's rolled a 9. I've just seen his arms in the air. He's over the moon. About there we go.
Okay, so it's he's still deciding. He's
well, he should have measured before he moved, but he's gone in. I
think he'll be. He knows he's 9 away from them.
Because he measured it, right?
Yeah.
So that does mean, as you pointed out so accurately, that's also given him the extra attack here.
Yep. So that's all 3 of those. He's got plenty of CP. All 3 of those are going to be attacking twice now. All the locusts have gone off, so everybody's fighting last.
This could be it. This could be huge.
This is a
can we not forget?
James will be kicking himself for giving that turn away now, won't he?
That is exactly what we saw. We saw James give this turn away against these potentials, which means, in theory, this is exactly what he wants to happen. And what he could genuinely do is he could lose these 2 units of Namati here. He could also lose this unit of Eels at the top, which would really just put him down to this locked-in combat unit of Eels and a smaller unit of Thralls to try to take the rest of the game on. And we're only in turn 2.
Yeah. And the good thing about this keeper coming in over here, already used his zaps. So the keeper's going to be on 4 wounds. His claws are going to be on 5 damage each. You're going to be looking to generate a lot of depravity from that unit of Eels, with potentially 2 big heroes piling into it. He could even pile in the Demonettes for a second time if there's anything left. It's going to be important that the order in which he does combat activation here, because he doesn't want to hit too hard and take anyone out of range. Obviously, the keeper and the chariot have charged, so they'll get to pile in anyway. But if he attacks and takes these Demonettes out of 3 inches there, they were already in combat, so they won't be able to pile in. So it's going to be a very a lot of head scratching for figuring out which order to do these activations. I think because it's high tide, we're seeing Jim pile in with his Reavers over the other side where there were no locusts, and so I think we're probably going to be seeing some dead Demonettes over here, and that big double 1 charge that we saw fail on the right hand side Demonettes.
So this
might
is
mean that they are freed up.
So that's that unit over there on that side. Again, making sure the piling in is done as it should be. And then going to go into that unit of Demonettes. And those Demonettes are, and as Demon Slaanesh players will tell you, their army isn't great at being hit.
Yeah, it's very fragile.
It falls apart. It is very fragile, but thankfully it has more elements of it to summon back, which is very much how you often see the Change Host list play as well. They really need to keep their characters safe. But what's good for Slaanesh is every one of their characters is excellent and super points efficient.
Yep.
Like we talked about this Epitome potentially being one of the best wizards, one of the best models in the game. Keeper's not far behind it realistically, as is the Exalted Chariot here, also fantastic for its points.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and a lesser seen model I think at the moment as well, isn't it? You don't see it in every list, the Exalted Keeper at the moment, in favour of the bigger hittier things like the keepers and the more useful utility pieces. But yeah, I think
so we're seeing. I think we're seeing Jim being really smart here, and what he's doing is he said, "I'm going to keep this unit out of combat." Obviously, that would be a mistake on his part. So he's not doing that. So he's piling where he can, and he's just going to try and hold these demonettes. Those demonettes holding up is going to really change the shape of the game realistically, because while that unit of while that unit of eels can definitely run onto that back objective and help score, they cannot. These eels, which only lost one, if they are allowed to just run free and just start smushing stuff.
Yeah, because obviously on the charge they get -2 red, which is, you'd send them into a keeper or Shalaxi, you reduce them down to a 6-up save, and so they really want to be charging there. They've got more than enough damage to take out one of those big heroes on their own. But I think the thing that I'd be worried more about is their speed at this stage. They've got a 16-inch move. They can obviously turn that to a 20. They can get over the other side. They can claim that objective in the turn, and then if he wins the priority, he can go and take out that contorted.
And there we go. Jim's going to be over the moon about that. All of those thralls removed from the board, so that's huge. That's really changed the shape of the game. Realistically, unless he makes some mistakes, which I don't think he's going to, that's given him loads of options. But those eels have to do a lot of different jobs. They have to go over and they have to fight a Shalaxi, they have to fight a Keeper of Secrets and oh dear me, what have they got to?
But then he also needs. I think the eels shouldn't be coming over here. If he starts coming over, James won't. I would imagine there's no way he's going to bring those eels over there. He's going to want to come up here. He's going to want to take that objective, and then in the following turn he could still keep within 6, and he could kill that contorted epitome. While that contorted epitome is alive,
that's if he gets the priority.
Yeah, that's if. Yeah. But while that contorted epitome is alive, JP's got always somewhere to summon from. I mean, he's still got 3 heroes over here, and there's not going to be that much damage coming back to them after they've all struck a few times, and so I think he's probably safe with depravity. But I'd want to be taking that contorted epitome out and taking the objective. I think the eels are long enough bases that even if he does win the priorities, then you could stretch out and take both of those. Obviously, he has no models within 6 here. And so if he could take both of those and manage to hold on with enough models here, he only needs 2 alive after all of this to outnumber Shalaxi, and he could score potentially all 5 objectives in the following turn.
In his turn
priority.
3.
Yeah.
His turn 3. But do you not think then, having left all of this to do that, while he's definitely up and he's maximised on points, and that's if he gets the priority roll there, he then, with still, JP would be having turns 4 and 5, and that unit of 8 eels, which is devastating, is still on the board against some threats, I think.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I think it really does depend how this combat goes. We did see a Keeper of Secret go in earlier and do very little. So it's whether or not those eels can go down. And they are pretty tanky. When you talk about a unit of 9 of them, it's 9 by 4 wounds.
Yep.
So it's...
And a 4-up save as well.
Yeah, so it's 36 wounds with a 4-up save is good. I'd take that.
Good. Yeah.
But they're not near any characters, so they are not immune to battle shock. That bravery 6 is going to really start to play in this case.
Absolutely, yeah. He's already done 10 wounds, that keeper has, which has killed 2. He's piling in again. So we're down to what? Are we down to 4 or 5 down there now?
I'll go have a little look-see. Yeah, and people in the chat are asking, is this the top table? At this stage, it's still just a top bracket, so any one of these players can potentially win the tournament. The points difference between them is...
The top 4 tables, at least, are all on 3-0.
Yeah,
so it's not number 1 in the actual placings. I think that's just an arbitrary number.
It's pretty arbitrary when it's a bracket system, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. So there's the eels. Both beautiful armies, by the way, I'd like to point out. Worth noting, especially JP's army. I'm a big fan of that. It's got the looks. So I think we're still rolling into this unit of eels.
So he's just rolled 5 saves for the eels. He's rolled 4 1s and a 6, so that's 4 failed saves. I think that was against the sword, was it? Damage 2, so that's 8. That's 2 more eels dead, which means we've lost 3 or 4 this turn already. So that means
and we've
3 so far.
So we've still got another activation. Yeah, so he's
still got claws to go. Still
and another activation.
And another. No, this is his second activation from the keeper, but he's still got the chariot to go. He's still got potentially 2 pile-ins from the chariot. He's still got demonettes. I think we along with Battle Shock, if they don't kill him outright, I think along with Battle Shock we'll see the end to this Eels, which puts him in a really good position on this flank.
Puts JP in a super strong. 5 more mortal wounds. 10 wounds have just gone through on the Eels, so that's another 2
so
dead.
This keeper is showing the general of the army exactly how it's done. Both his claw attacks have gone through. One with the 6, which is an automatic 5 mortal wounds, and the other one has failed its save. So
and Chariot still hasn't piled in.
The Chariot still hasn't piled in. The Demonettes haven't piled in. The Chariot can pile in twice. He's already lost 5, so he can only roll a 1 on Battle Shock to pass if he rolls a 2.
And if they lose no more.
Yeah, and that's if they lose no more, which is not going to happen, I think, at this
That
stage.
is. And there's also 24 depravity points. We've got about that. Those guys were just giving depravity points up.
Exactly, yeah, that's the problem with Eels as well. Here we see the Chariot coming in.
Here we go. The Chariot's in now. Those Eels dead. And really putting paid to my my theory that Idoneth Deepkin are really the kind of top pick against all of the other picks that are out there in the world. Although Jim gave this turn away, so I'm not sure.
I think he'll be regretting that now at this stage.
Definitely be regretting that at this stage. So still not sure. I'm still pretty sold on that. But we also know that there's still another Idoneth Deepkin player in Mr. Luke Morton playing against.
Who arguably has a slightly easier matchup of combat bone splitters. So.
Yes, he does. He has combat bone splitters against in focal points. However, as we saw yesterday, the legend that is Mr. Ian Spink.
Actually, I was talking to Ian last night, and one thing we didn't pick up on when we were commentating on the game is that hole that the Stonehorn charged into was exactly the right size for a Stonehorn, and Ian had baited him in. He knew that he had Thermal Rider Cloak. He knew as a Destruction player that Destruction players like to throw their things forward, and so he baited him with the arrow.
And they can't read.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's my current meme about Destruction players is that they can't read. That does, So you're right. So Ian just played a blindy yesterday. Go back and watch that game yesterday.
I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was so interesting. Such a good play that I think a lot of people, when they play Bone Splitters, see the Arrow Boys and want to take him out, and so he baited him in. Interesting.
The Chariot, it seems.
So the Eels are piled into the Demonettes and killed only 2 of them.
However, the Chariot's piling in again. It's going to attack again. Can it deal with these last 2 Eels? If it kills one, he's guaranteed to lose the other one in Battle Shock.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it should be able to kill.
Yeah. Hello to everyone in the chat. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. All the information is available to you about what's going on via the UI. So you can see that it's JP with his Heat Knights Slaanesh, and also Jim with his Idoneth Deepkin playing up against each other.
Soft hands.
And then there's a bunch of depravity points on the field as well.
24,
24,
which is at least 20 Demonettes. So that's bodies in the late game, isn't it? I think what I'd be doing now with, I think he's in a good enough position with his heroes. He's not going to lose all of those, even on a double turn, I'd imagine. And so what I'd be doing now is saving those depravity points for bodies in the late game, because he is running low, and potentially on a double turn, he could lose that whole flank, his whole right-hand flank. So I'd be looking to save them now. I don't think he needs any more damaged output on the board at this stage. He needs bodies. He needs to be claiming these objectives.
He does. He does. Should we see if he looks tense? So this is currently. Is this the face of a tense man? Tense.
That's the face of a man.
That's
who
a man
regrets giving away the double turn.
Yeah. So definitely maybe tilted. How's JP looking? JP's looking. He's got one of those unflappable faces. I'm going to go for. Yeah, that's definitely true. So interesting this game here. I wonder what his plan was. Love to hear his thoughts. Love to hear what his thoughts are in this particular scenario. But we'll see. We'll hear about it later. Hey, Danny Paints. Hey to everyone in the Twitch chat. Thanks for joining us. Super chuffed to have you here. Really excited to see how this game finishes up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still all to play for. We still haven't seen, or have we seen Shalaxi attack yet? It looks like the thralls are piled into her, and so it depends how much they are going to be able to, how much damage they're going to be able to do to those thralls down at the bottom there. If Shalaxi can kill enough to just, anything she's doing at the moment there is reducing the amount of bodies. She wants to kill enough. She's never going to be able to kill enough to take that objective, but this one is undefended, so that's 2 points that he could easily score by just running out one or two of the surviving thralls over there. He could
with a
take
priority
these
roll,
two.
with priority roll, Jim's potentially got huge swinging points here, but he doesn't have like for trades, like when it comes to models, he's up against it. And like you pointed out at the top of the show, he can't attrition, because he just loses more bodies. And as we've said, he can go in. He has to go in if he wants to stop all the summoning that's going to come, which is 24 depravity points so far. He's going to have to go over there and deal with those guys, but then the contorted epitome is there. You just can't do it all. And it's just a tough situation to be in.
I think at this stage, because he's lost he can't commit the eels. The eels are still going to hit really hard on the charge, but he can't overcommit them over here because then he doesn't have the bodies to go up here and take those objectives. I think what he wants to be doing now is just taking the objectives with a run roll. Those eels could probably take all three of those there. I think JP is probably going to score only 4 points. He's not going to take this objective. He's not going to take that one. So he's going to get these 4. But then Jim could take all of those. He's still going to keep that one. So he could score 8. If he rolls a priority again, he scores another 8, and then goes to 20 to JP's 8. Then that's probably what I would do, because it would put him in such.
It puts him in a commanding points lead, but it doesn't put him in a commanding position. And I think that's the issue where he's at now. Like, I agree with you. He has plays to rack points out on the board, but then he doesn't have, because then he's out. He's got the turn, he's got the priority, he's got the double turn, but he's done nothing to affect JP's ability to renegotiate and engage.
Yep.
And he's just, he might be better off, genuinely, coming over here, trying to deal with these two straight off the bat, gets the priority, gets here. He's then got turn 4-5 to get to go through these go through. The other way, it's short-term loss but long-term gain, whereas the other way round potentially. But look, there's a tight spot to be in.
If he does that, then he can keep that, so he can match his 4, so he can keep 8-8 at the end of turn 2, going into turn 3 priority. Potentially that's an interesting. I think that'd be an interesting play as well.
It's hard work though, right? So it's going to be a hard game to do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Jim is definitely uphill for him now from here. I think enough of these survive though, and they can start piling in around there in his turn. He could potentially, if he moves a character over here, so he's definitely going to be not battle shocking off. He could tie up both of those keepers for another turn or two. Although JP does have. He's still got. He's only got 1 left now. Actually, 1 command ability. So
1 command point left.
So
JP used him a bit because he's piling attacking again with Shalaxi right now. Is what we're seeing. So we're going to see more thralls. And those 2 CP that sat on, I'm pretty certain that the characters for the Idoneth, which are bubbled up here. There you go. You think he's summoning, measuring for battle shock. So that's what he's going to be looking at. So it's going to be. It's going to be hella tense. And let me tell you, because obviously Jim's got his turn 2 coming up, but let me tell you about this priority roll for turn 3. Big news on that priority roll. Whatever happens in this turn.
Yep.
Although I think the Eel's coming over here and dealing with. I know. We played that turn through. His choices are score the points, kill the units.
Yeah.
Fascinated to see what he decides to do.
What do you think in the chat? What would you do? Would you go for the points? Would you try and kill the characters?
What points or characters?
Yeah.
Points win prizes.
I'm a very points-driven player. I always play the objectives. I care little to nothing about kill points. I think there are other ways to tie them up. I think I would definitely be going for the points here. If you could win the priority, it could potentially be on a 28 leads. That's 12 points ahead, and he would still hold his own objectives. he could the other good thing about going that way and spreading out with your eels and just claiming this is that you're reducing the amount of places that this contorted epitome can summon. So the bodies won't be able to come in on the objectives. They're all going to have to come around the edges, and they're going to need 9-inch charges to get in.
Yeah, you're right. But then a set up for the double to do so.
But
this is all pinning on him also being able to get the priority the turn after.
Yep.
So there's a lot there.
Yep.
So in the chat, Deepkin Seb, so obviously a big Deepkin fan. Oh, we've moved into Jim's turn now, so we're going to get to finally see what he's doing. That hands on the table thinking process happening. Deepkin said points for me. Points because characters will just get more depravity anyway. I'm putting Crush and Oak. Only problem with going for points, you can less priority to counter strike, and they get even more depravity. That's what I'm saying.
That's it. You start attacking with those eels. Every eel you lose is another 3 depravity. So if he goes over there and loses three or four more of those, that's another unit of 10 demonets. So that's the problem with engaging. Then I think you want to just be trying to tie as many of those as. Tie up as many of these characters over here as you can with the single wound models so that you're not giving away depravity.
So one of the things that we haven't talked about is he still has got his not his Tidecaster.
Soul Scryer.
His Soul Scryer is off the board, currently in the Aether Sea, so that could just come down and just grab one of those real simple. So that might solve us a problem on that top left or top right objective, whatever you want, although I think the left is much easier to achieve. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. He doesn't have much of a hero phase.
Yeah,
so
what we're all anything else with that skull.
What we're all looking at is what that unit
just him on his own.
Yeah, where that unit of eels is going to go is what we're about, right? And where it's going to be.
So he's unbound the wheels of excruciation. So we're into Jim's turn now. Beginning of the phase is obviously the start of the phase is always where you have to do your unbinds. So he's unbound that wheels of excruciation.
And only each caster can only try to dispel one endless spell.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a good play because the wheels is sitting here. It's good at killing.
I think that tells us what he's going to do, right?
It could be. Yeah, it could be a signaler for where he's going. But I think that the main threat for that would be that you don't want that wheels going through there on the double turn because Jim's obviously got to play for the double turn here, or that would suggest that it is. So JP would be able to move that and take. Be able to move that wheels in the following turn and take those out. So it's a good start to the turn. I think that definitely suggests that James is going to play for the double here. I think he has to, really.
He's playing the points, like you said. It's cool for turns 3-4, but it's not cool for turns 4-5.
Yeah,
we've
still got an hour to go. We're easily going to get to turns 4 and 5. I think both players are down to.
Oh no, Ben, he's following your route. He's definitely going that contorted epitome. He's definitely he's a fan of going after anyway. So he looks like he's committed to the decision. It's going to be a hot take into that priority role. There'll be some combats, obviously, with Shalaxi. I imagine we're going to see those units just run off. And why would they keep engaging? Because you're going to keep giving depravity points away anyway. So I think there won't be much of a combat. And I think he'll almost want to just rifle into the priority just so that he can just know where he's going to be. Yeah. But he's decided not to quite go way you wanted. I think we're going to see his Tidecaster, not his Tidecaster. Yeah,
Soul Scryer could drop on that one there.
He's going to point at the contorted epitome to give him the plus to charge.
Yeah, it's still turn 2. It's still turn 2, so it's still in high tide. He doesn't have retreat and charge.
No. Interesting.
But he could drop the Soul Scryer down here if he's playing for the double. He lost 3 eels.
No, 3 wounds. Three wounds.
Sorry.
Right, so we're going to find out what's happening. Join us back for the exciting kind of continuation of this story in 5 or so minutes. You'll be able to watch it in the top left as Owen lets us know what's happening at the rest of the other top tables and also the rest of the Facehammer GT 2019.
Thank you very much, Rob. Yes, I've had a little look around the tables. I've been chatting away to all sorts of people. Looking at the top tables, just continue updating you on where those guys are. Dan Bradshaw, I think I'd let you know that he took out the win there. So he's gone forward with a 4-0. Now looking over at Brian Carmichael and Mark Wildman, it's tight. I think after it being a little bit cagey and all those keepers being back, Mark had to commit at some point and he's pushed RK on forward. Into Shalaxi, I believe it is. Certainly a keeper of secrets. And Reapers of Vengeance, double activation, and he put 5 wounds on it, which is, you know, no Slayer of Kings, nothing like that. So he put 5 wounds onto the Keeper, and he took 12 in return. So the big, well, it's not a gamble as such. He had to commit at some point. He did, and it doesn't appear to have paid off. They're on turn 3. Mark's up on the scenario, 17 to 12. But it's going to be a big turn 3 now. So Brian, now that it's almost as if Mark's played his hand. You know, Archaon's up. He's pushed a lot of things forward. There's plenty of charges available to Brian Slaanesh now. So that table could look very differently in about an hour. Sorry, not an hour, in about 30 minutes. Table 2, Ian Spink. We all want him to go 4-0 and perhaps be back on the stream. But his bone splitters against Luke Morton. Now, I thought it was looking pretty good for Ian. I don't know if he's just being a bit too self-deprecating, but he was like shaking his head saying it's not good for the Orcs. Yeah, everything's on the table now. All the eels are down, and there are a sizable amount of them taken off the board. And it looks like a pretty balanced table. But I don't know, as I say, if Ian's being a bit too negative, but he wasn't confident of his chances. On table 1, the Mike Wilson dominance appears to continue there. He's really dominating both the centre and the left-hand side. Loads of demonettes, keepers in support. It's looking brutal. They're really encroaching. I did get a report back from Richie that he lost 90 grots on turn 1. So that big push was bold. And he was saying that his grots just wouldn't come out of the Loon Shrine. They're just too shy to come out. They've been killed and they won't come back. So yeah, Richie, lots of shaking of his head. He doesn't look happy. Yeah, it's not going well. From turn 1, he feels that he got his deployment wrong, and Mike took advantage of that. So I think we're going to have Mike Wilson on a 4-0. We've got Dan Bradshaw. I can't call Brian and Mark's game. In Donald's game, Gotrek continues to be the ultimate Ghostbuster, just killing ghosts. And then quick little roundup. Couple more wins for the Team Wales Bros. We've got Andy Hughes beating Michael Browning. Alex Bruce with his order. He did have his star-fated arrow killed Frostheart, which is awesome. I think I might have told you that last time. And then Laurie, again, with the help of his Team England dice, Laurie's got a win over Tuggy. Steve and Alex still going. So yeah, that's where we are. 2 games in the balance. 1 game very much finished and 1 game very much looking like it's going Mike's way. With that, I'm going to hand you back to the boys in the booth who are going to go back to the top table. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much there, Owen. What a gorgeous man. Appreciate you and everything that you do. So we're back to the table. If you've just joined us, we're here at the FHGT 2019 100-person match play event for Age of Sigmar. Someone's going to win it today, which is exciting, and the prizes are pretty magnificent. There's some large metal swords.
Yeah, they're pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I hope it's not an international visitor who was who wins it. I'm not sure you can get that back on the plane. And if you've just joined us, we are in battle round 2 of round 4. Later. No, that would be cool. Yeah, later. Yeah, we're in battle round 2 of round 4 here at the GT.
Yep.
In the first term, JP was Slaanesh at the top of the board, gave the turn away to Jim. Jim then moved up a unit of 9 heals and a unit of 9 eels, and his Reavers here, which is pretty much like his 2 big threats, those 2 units and 9 eels. JP then countercharged, specifically with a Keeper of Secrets in here and Celeste over there. They both died going into that priority role, giving up a bunch of depravity points, and didn't do a lot to the eels. Then, in the priority roll, Jim won it, and this is really big. He gave the turn away, at which point another Keeper was summoned. Shalaxi charged in here and is fighting, as you can see. The Keeper made a 9-inch charge, as did this Exalted Chariot, which was here. This unit of eels is now dead. The other unit of eels was fine and could fight off the demonettes comfortably.
Yep.
So then now going into Jim's turn, we've seen that unit of eels move up and take out the demonettes and score this objective here.
Yep, I think a couple of people are asking in the chat whether these demonettes were within 3 of the eels, and so why they're retreating and charging, but they weren't, because they failed that charge on a 1-1, if you remember. So it was only in combat with those demonettes that he killed. So when he moved and jumped up to here, he could still charge. He's charged those demonettes now, and he's killed. He's killed
those
all
demonettes.
Of those.
Yeah. And just like Ben's pointing out, Benjamin's pointing out, sorry, that we're in high tide, so it won't be able to retreat and charge until next turn. And he scored this one, and he's also taken this unit here, and has also scored this. So currently, as you can see, 4 objectives going to Jim. However, there's an unwounded Keeper of Secrets, Shalaxi Hellbane, unwounded. In combat currently, there's an Exalted Chariot as well, also unwounded. So there's a lot of big threats on the board, and as Contorted Epitome at the top, JP is absolutely sat on a bunch of depravity points as well, which we'll get the number on that in a minute.
He's gonna be at least 630 or something, 30 depravity points at least, I think, down there now.
So he's just in a really strong place.
Yeah.
He's in a really strong place. Going to the priority roll, it's a Jim needs it, not the other way around.
Interesting, we've just heard from the tabletop that when he piled in here with the Reavers, he's been careful not to go within 3, which might be the right decision because the Keeper he's only got 1 CP, so it would be risking going down to 0 on a double turn. I suppose he doesn't have many bodies or little to no bodies for Battle Shock, but he would be going down. But I would be tempted to bring that Keeper into combat, I think, because if he doesn't, then that Keeper can just, and he doesn't win the double turn. I suppose a lot of the plays he's made here is suggesting that he's playing for the double turn, and maybe that's because he has to. But if he tagged that Keeper in there and he's got at least 1 character there, you just need a couple of those to survive to tie that Keeper up on the double turn there. But he hasn't, so he's obviously worried about the damage output. He wants to keep his bodies safe.
Well, because he literally is now just like trying to keep bodies on the board to score, because we're only on turn 2, so it's a big deal. I'd just like to say a big shout out to Andrew Wells, who has been waking up early on this weekend to watch the coverage. 6 a.m. in Wisconsin watching live. So I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching live. I love that you guys come and watch some independent Warhammer coverage, and I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it, and it's worth a 6 a.m. start. That's exciting, right?
Yeah, that's commitment. I like that.
You've got to be wearing a big fluffy coat, sat there with your slippers on, feet
exactly,
up.
Yeah,
that's a great
big
morning.
Stack of pancakes.
Yeah. Right.
Darren, how many wounds does the Keeper have left? No, the Shalaxi, sorry. We're just finding out for you now. We've been asked that in the chat. 3 left on Shalaxi. So I think the wounds that she would have taken this turn would have definitely pushed JP up from 24 depravity to at least 30 now. So that's another Keeper, or that's another 30 demonettes, or potentially a few MSU units of demonettes. Yeah, so I think JP is in a strong position here. As we say, he's
strong position.
He's never beat Jim before, but it looks like he might be doing it on stream here.
That's the big story. JP is Jim. Yes, 2 points for the centre. Yeah, Jim and JP are club mates. They play at the Just Play Games gaming centre. We're going to be into the priority roll.
Yeah.
We're going to be into the priority
Jim
roll.
scored 6 points there, I think, in that turn. 2 for the centre, 3 for the adjacent ones on the right-hand side, and 1 for his own objective. So he's going to be going. It's going to be 10-4 at the end of battle round 2, and we're going into priority shortly.
Well, maybe am I too keen on the priority roll? Did I get the cam up way too quick? Did I get scared?
I think they're
Is there still combats, and I'm just super keen?
Yeah, Shalaxi hasn't piled in yet, has she?
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry, everyone at home. Yeah, just too keen, just too excited. Yeah, this is big. This is the priority roll's not yet. I'm sorry. I just got you all prepped. If you're on the edge of your seats, I would get hyped for it though, because it's probably going to decide the game. But